There are planes, leaf blowers, and automobiles all around my apartment today, so you could definitely hear some of that in the audio. I apologize. My Adobe Audition background noise removal function is not that powerful, and my microphone is a condenser mic. So, unfortunately, you might hear some buzzing and sounds and wind blowing in the background today, but that's not going to get in the way of our scoop. Because, oh my goodness, did Kevin Weekes just drop a huge little tidbit of information that has the potential to shake up the hockey world in massive, massive ways. As always, the show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. You know the drill. Go out there and click the first link in the description to save some money on your VPN and get some free months in the process. Also, you'll be helping out the channel by doing so. Let's talk about Kevin Weekes' most recent tweet from a few minutes ago. This was within the hour here. Take a look at Kevin Weekes. Keep an eye on, with the return of Drew Doughty to the LA Kings lineup, defenseman Brandt Clarke, who leads the team in points by a D-man, appears to be a healthy scratch tonight. Perhaps the Kings are setting up a move with his ice time diminishing. And this, of course, is ridiculous. Kevin Weekes is no normal bum. He breaks news all the time, and he's not going to go out there and say something like this just for the sake of saying something crazy, right? Right? It's not like just a few days ago he ended up tweeting a picture of Pittsburgh after all the Mikko Rantanen trade drama. Yeah, totally not alluding to any Sidney Crosby talk. But anyways, Kevin Weekes, on top of being a former player, is one of the more renowned NHL insiders and TV personalities, so of course when he says something like this, we have to make a freaking video about it. Brandt Clarke, everybody! Is he on the trade block? Another young defenseman on his way out of LA? And I say that because when thinking about young stud D-men that were drafted by the LA Kings, the one that comes to my mind right away, it's not even Brandt Clarke. I think about Brock Faber in Minnesota. How that guy was an integral part of the package which sent Kevin Fiala over to the LA Kings in the first place. Faber was a second-round guy by the LA Kings. He was super good in the NCAA, and then the Kings traded him. The guy didn't even get a chance to play in LA. And sure, you can say that there was a hometown element there. Oh, the guy wanted to play for his hometown. He's from Minnesota, and he went over to, guess what, Minnesota. But still, the LA Kings had a chance to have themselves a guy who is now a number one defenseman playing 28 minutes a night, 30 minutes a night for Brock Faber in the Minnesota Wild organization whilst producing points and doing really good things in the process. Are you saying the LA Kings could be trading away Brandt Clarke too? Here's the thing about Clarke. A lot of people will actually recognize him, not necessarily because of his status as a prospect. I mean, he was a first-round guy, 8th overall in the 2021 draft, so obviously there's potential there. But Brandt Clarke this year, if you're a fantasy hockey player, you probably got some really good love out of this guy in your fantasy leagues. He has 24 points in 47 games played. It's his first full season in the National Hockey League, but Brandt Clarke's production, a good chunk of it came actually at the beginning of the season. A 3-point game against Ottawa to open everything up. He had himself multiple point streaks throughout the year, and early on, at the start of November-ish territory, Brandt Clarke was seen as one of the most underrated pickups in fantasy hockey. He was producing points like crazy. He was getting some 20-plus minute games here and there. He was hovering in the 18-ish minute a game mark for a good chunk of the year. But as of late, he has dipped a bit in ice time. Going over into the middle portion of December, you're starting to see more 13, 14, 12 even minute games here for Brandt Clarke, and as of late, his production has slowed down definitely from what it was earlier on in the season. The Kings have also started losing games quite a bit since the middle period of January. They had a pretty good win streak to end off 2024 and open 2025, but they've been pretty extraordinary as of late. And so with Drew Doughty coming back, you know that guy's going to take up the brunt load of LA Kings defensive minutes. He's going to be placed in there by default. He is a monster, Drew Doughty is. And if the Kings are going to say, okay, we got a right-handed defenseman stud in our captain coming back. We have Brandt Clarke, who is already on the decline point production-wise, and whose deployment and minutes on the team have been diminishing too. The team doesn't trust him defensively. I'm not saying that he's a bad defender, per se. I'm just saying that, hey, he's a young dude. He's 21 years old. He's offensively leaning, and he's pretty good at that. But ultimately, he is one of these guys who does have a lot of value. And if his stock, his production, his deployment on the team is going to decline with Doughty coming back, it's really interesting to see him become a healthy scratch. And for Kevin Weekes to say, hey, maybe the Kings are setting up a move with his ice time diminishing. And the way he phrases it, setting up a move, he doesn't necessarily say, oh yeah, the Kings are going to trade this guy. It's, they might be thinking about doing something. Whether that means trading the guy away or what, who really knows. But at the same time, it's like, hey, there's no reason to scratch him unless you're going to trade him, right? Scratching the guy is protecting the asset, and there's no reason to do that to Brandt Clarke unless you're going to trade Brandt Clarke. I mean, there are many other defensemen on the LA Kings that I do think are notable and actually good, and, you know, Jordan Spence, I like that guy. He's been solid. Moverare has been underrated at times, and Gavrikov is a first-pairing D-man. Like, sure, you can talk about, oh, the Joel Edmondsons, they signed that guy to such a high contract that he's so overpaid. Like, yeah, I get it. I mean, he plays the style of hockey that LA likes. Brandt Clarke, with Drew Doughty coming back into the lineup, I guess Clarke is just the odd guy out, right? And if the LA Kings are in a position where they want to make the playoffs this year, they want to continuously compete, and they need the guys to help them do that today, I mean, I can understand if Clarke is the guy that they want to trade. Honestly, it's just kind of baffling when you consider the age and the potential and what he has shown off in the past. Of course, we recognize the top pairing potential that we saw Clarke have, especially when he was in the OHL and he was dominant. He almost had 2 points a game in the 2022-2023 season. He was so good, both in the playoffs and the regular season, and at the World Juniors he was over a point per game. Clarke is like a right-handed version of Luke Hughes, and that is a comparison that I think has existed for many, many years. I don't want to go away from that, and ultimately, you know, I'm thinking about my Vancouver Canucks. If there's an opportunity to get a guy like Brandt Clarke onto the team, I kind of like that. Sure, you can say what you want about defensive capability, but, yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting deal. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about Kevin Weekes' scoop here that defenseman Brandt Clarke on the LA Kings may be on the move. I don't know for sure. That's the way he phrased it. There might be a move that the Kings are setting up here, but with Clarke being the healthy scratch tonight, it does allude to him potentially being available on the market. And if it is some sort of a Brock Faber-like deal, okay, the Kings are getting a D-man back, so they can expend a D-man. Maybe they'll trade Clarke for a forward or something like that. Maybe a Kevin Fiala-esque type profile. Maybe a Ricard Raquel or a Mikael Granlund or a JT Miller or something like that. Maybe they get a forward in exchange for Clarke. If you're a Kings fan, let me know in the comments section which forward do you think you should get, and why in the world do you think trading Clarke is a good or a bad idea? It's a pretty open floor with this one, I think. So thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.